Welcome back to the channel, family. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is where you are. I'm going to give you a quick update on the M1240A1 MRAP, the most complicated, the hardest, and the worst engineered and worst instructed model ever sold. Thank you, Panda models. It's taken me hours to do parts that shouldn't take that long to do because they don't fit. So anyway, this is, I think, where I left you, working on the suspension and the, whatever you call them, the arms that go on the thing. And then we got over to here, and I finished this up on the 27th. These springs were just a disaster. I had to sand on those for an hour or two, file, and I'll show you the tools I'm using here in a minute. And I got to this today, where you put the transmission in, and it was too long, so I had to file it down at both ends on the flanges to where they went into the other parts to get it to shorten. And then you have these little tiny C bars, C1, C1, C1. Oop, that one should be colored in. I didn't do that one because that step is complete. Let's do that. Okay. Did that. Boop. And I'll show you those here in a second. And then got the rock plates on. And I wondered if I should have been painting before I put all this stuff on, but I'm just going to paint it how it ends up. We'll see how it happens. Then I had to put that little guy together, the G's, and they didn't fit, so I had to sand on those for a half an hour. And these C62s, these little, I don't know what they are, but the E10 actually fit pretty good. Didn't have to do much with it. But here I'm going to give you a close-up of what we're talking about. That's the last part I put on, that little, I guess that's a ladder to get up on it in the back. But you can see all the transmission parts down in there. Let me get under a light, for fuck's sake. There we go. And there's the transmission rod. And it was crooked as hell when I first put it in. I went, no, that's not going to work. So I had to rip out the front ones here with this PE that keeps breaking off. Because I set it down on this side, and that PE is going to snap off, and it does. I've only done it once so far. And every lump and bump and crook and nook you see on this thing is either one part or multiple parts glued together to make that lump or bump. And they're all hidden up in there. See what's going on? And man, now if this was a Tamiya, I would have had this done in 2 days. You know, you just shake the box, they go together. But no, this is Panda. Nothing fits. You have to sand and file and sand. Now I'm going to show you my tools I've been using. Other than the highlighter for where I'm at. Of course, I've got, you know, Maxell. I got 3 different flavors of those. I got the round blade, number 17, I think. I've got the chisel blade. That's number 17. I forget what number the round blade is. That's 11, 17, I don't know, 10. There it is, right there on the blade. I've got a little saw. I use this a lot in those springs. You see the springs in there? Just to get some separation. And the seams. The seams were terrible. They still are, but that's as good as I'm going to get them. I'm using my beadative trimmers to get the parts off. I've got Tamiya over there, but I'm using these right now. I've got some Innies tweezers, AN059. Now, when I first bought these, I think I spent $17 for these things. But these tips are actually not as tough as you think they are. I have had to straighten these tips out several times to get them to grip the parts. But I think it's because I leave them out of the holder and they bump into things and they bend. And then, believe it or not, just an emery board. Good old emery board. And my favorite file is 4-sided. It's small, so I can get into those little spots where I need to get into, and I can use the tip to dig out the holes and make the holes bigger. Just put it in there and route it around. And then, of course, I got a flat file I'm using. That's a metal file. And then a lot of times I go to my glass files. If I want a really smooth surface, get your glass files out. And you hear the sound change. When the nub's gone, when you're seeing it, it goes, just gets quiet all of a sudden. That means you're done. So, of course, I got my big sanding sticks I use to really get smoothed down on them. And that's what it's taken to get all this done to this point. And when I start this thing, it says so back here. The, crap. Sorry. January 18th. It took me all through January to get just this chassis done. January, February, and I wasn't writing the dates down. Then I started writing the dates down right here, March 25th. I did take some time off from it, about a week, but that's it, because I was about to throw it in all the trash. It almost beat me, and I said, no, I'm going to continue. But guess what's coming next? I showed you all my tools. You see all my paints and stuff. Here's the kit. Still lots of sprues left. Oh, I didn't have a C. It only had one C32, and it needed 2 of them for, not 62. The little rods that go in. Yeah, 32. Right there and right there. Well, C32, there was only one of them. The other one was broken off and gone. And I know I didn't cut it off. So I found an E5 in there that was the same kind of part. You zoom in so you can see what it is. It's a little rod, a little tie rod that goes between the wheel, the back wheels. I guess the back wheels turn too because they both have tie rods. See the rods there? I think the thing has 4-wheel steering. I haven't researched that much on the MRAP yet, so. But E5 fit perfectly in that gap, so I used it. And I looked all through the rest of the model. I didn't see it used anywhere else, so hopefully I'm okay there. But guess what's coming next? Wheels and tires. Now, thank goodness there's only 5 of them. There's 4 tires and a spare. So before I get into all this photo etch, as you can see, is coming up here, I'm going to stop and do the wheels. And I won't need them. I can't put them on the model yet because I got to paint the thing. But I can do them and just put them in one of my Tupperware totes and let them sit. And they've got to be painted and weathered and all that stuff. So it'd be a nice break from all this detail work, I think. But holy crap. So far, so good. I've had to re-glue on a few parts. It's broken off. I imagine that ladder right there is probably going to get broken off. Just wait and hide and watch. And that PE sticking up right there is probably going to get broken off. So anyway, sorry this wasn't in landscape, but sometimes I got to get you what I get you. Okay, I'll see you next time. Like, subscribe if you're still watching to this point. Thank you very much. And if you got any questions, let me know down below. And I'll let you know as best I can. So if you're building this model, God bless you. Patience is a virtue. Because it takes a lot of patience to work that hard on each and every of these, 150 parts I've already got on here. That's why it's taken over 2 months to get to this point. So, and we're just getting started. Folks, there's 23 steps in this thing. We're on step 6. Okay? So I think this is going to be about a 1-year project by the time I get through it all. We'll see. And all this photo etch. Holy crap. Okay. We're going to take it one bite at a time until it beats us. And when it beats us, and I don't think the wheels are going to beat us. We've built wheels before. We built lots of wheels before. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Bye.